It was just an ordinary Friday.
Kendrick Lamar surprises fans with a whole new album. Lamar dropped a 12-track LP named GNX on Friday.
This nigga going crazy. This nigga going crazy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are here. The momentum is intensifying.
We've obviously been waiting for the album here. We speculated when it was coming. We speculated how we were going to get it. And here it is. Yeah, I think if nothing else, the legacy that this album is going to leave behind is... So GNX finally came out. It's supposedly his 6th album. People keep calling it a mixtape. I mean, as far as I'm concerned,
that's an album.
If it goes on streaming services,
it's an album.
It's an album. Right? I'm
Unless
technically
you
paying
specifically, annoyingly, by the way, call it an EP. It's a full body project. It's 40 minutes long. It's 45 minutes long, I think. It's 12 songs. That's an album.
Let's just go through the album. First of all, it seemed like he put out like a video teaser
before the
like
album.
5 minutes before the album came out.
Going on?
Reincarnated with love. My Gemini twin back power went up. No more handshakes and...
Like, I looked at the video teaser, and then people were saying, like, Kendrick dropped. So
I'm like, yeah, I'm watching it,
yeah. So what are they talking about? It was like a minute video, and then I go to Apple Music, search Kendrick, boom, there's a whole album there. I'm like, oh.
Son of a bitch.
And, you know, we've obviously been waiting for the album here. We speculated when it was coming. We speculated how we were going to get it. And here it is. We got the bops. We got substance. There's even, you know, slower songs. It's not just all bops and party songs. Like, there's slower songs. The Luther sample was crazy. With SZA, the melodies going through it.
Yeah, I'm like, first of all, y'all really got Kendrick on here. I'm like, who did they else put on this song? It's like Kendrick is SZA. Who is this nigga doing the harmonies?
Kendrick.
I'm like, oh, Kendrick Lamar? He done stole singing away from you too, Canadian?
Yeah.
Oh, it's over.
Facts.
It's over.
Facts. But a lot of substance with tracks like Man at the Garden, Reincarnated. The Tupac flip, crazy.
So is that him doing Tupac, or is that actually like AI Tupac? Did he just do the same thing? I thought
that's him. That's him rapping.
That's him. Yeah, I thought so. I seen people sitting over there talking about, oh, well, what's the difference between Taylor Made and Tupac? I'm like,
one is AI and
one is actually Kendrick Lamar. Like, this is the most material difference that you could possibly have. One is an actual person doing it. The other one probably used his voice as a reference track and then created AI around it. Yeah. Because, I mean, it still sounded like Drake, but it wasn't Drake. It was literally Tupac.
Yeah, and it sounded like Drake's flows throughout it. It didn't sound like, in this case, it sounded like Tupac's flows. He was ultimately channeling Tupac.
Reincarnated.
Yeah.
It was another song in there. I felt like we were talking about the downfall of Whitney Houston.
Some people said Whitney Houston. Some people said, I think, Billie Holiday.
Like, we're hold on, let me get back to the track list.
That was Reincarnated, wasn't it?
Was that Reincarnated?
Where he was talking about, at first he was talking about being in Detroit, and then he was talking about, yeah.
Okay.
So some people did say Whitney because they were talking about, or he was talking about, like, the drug problems and stuff like that.
And never touched the Quaalude before I met that one manager, you know. I thought that's where we were going with that.
Some people said Whitney. I mean, I didn't ultimately go back enough to see ultimately who he may have been talking about, but I've seen a couple of different names. I've seen for the first one, I think Jimi Hendrix. I've seen a couple of different names for the guy he was talking about at first, and then I've seen Whitney Houston, Billie Holiday, and some other singers.
So wait,
for who the woman could have been.
Which song is it? Reincarnated or the heart part where he ends up talking to God?
Reincarnated.
That's Reincarnated.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, like Perp says, I think the first verse was Jimi Hendrix. So that's one of the ones that people were saying in that one. So, yeah, man, it's a lot of substance, a lot of songs. Like, I can't even really, to be honest with you, pick my favorite song.
Like, bruh, TV Off and Squabble Up gonna be playing until next summer. And
for me, Peekaboo is up there too.
Y'all about to be mad all over again. Y'all just got over Not Like Us. He took your whole summer away, and just when you think you might have an opportunity at the holidays, boom.
Facts.
I think Tyler's fine with it. I think Glorilla's fine with it. There's a certain
I think Tyler should be fine with it.
Who's fuming right now.
Facts.
I've been holding back my album release so he couldn't stump me, and now he dropped this heater, and now what I have isn't better than his, so now it's really about to make it seem like a flop. Plus, I think that he may have more music, and this is just a dummy album. Like, imagine somebody whooping your ass with the throwaways.
Yeah.
With the throwaways.
Crazy.
I don't think this is the album. And even if it was, it's going to do numbers regardless of whether or not this is a throwaway album or if this is a bunch of B tracks from Damn or if this was one of his masterpieces that he puts out every 5 years. Regardless, it's going to carry.
Yeah, I think if nothing else, the legacy that this album is going to leave behind is helping put the West Coast back at the forefront of rap, or at least the forefront of our minds when we think about rap music.
There were a couple features in here that I didn't recognize, so I figured we were still pulling people up from the West, which is counter to the narrative.
A lot of newer, younger West Coast rappers, AZ Chike, Dodie 6, Hitta J3, Peysoh, Siete 7 times, Willie the Sensei, YoungThreat, Roddy Ricch is on Dodger Blue. So yeah, a lot of these younger guys, and I just think that he did that intentionally to say, all right, I'm the biggest artist of rap, period. And so let me embrace the West Coast sound so that these younger guys can get on, and now we run rap for the next however so long.
Man.
And it worked.
Sheesh.
It worked for me. I'm out here looking up AZ Chike songs and fucking...
I will say this about West Coast rap. There's so much more diversity there than what's happening on the East Coast. Everything East Coast rap is drill.
Yeah.
And TikTok
or its own
music.
version of drill.
Yeah, or like TikTok music. That's what it is. It's either compact enough for you to do a choreographed dance to in a 30-second interval, or it's drill. And that's kind of where we're at right now on a creative level on this side of the country. Now, over there, man, they're doing everything. And that's why it sounds so, that's why it's hitting so different, because we don't hear music like that on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Especially when you start sampling older tracks and stuff like that, you start incorporating, things that people are familiar with. If This World Were Mine, with SZA.
Fire.
Man.
And I just think the West Coast has this grudge against the rap game because for so long, their artists just haven't been heard anywhere else in the country. Like there's so many artists that, yes, there's your Kendricks and your TDEs and your Nipseys and your Games and Snoops who get out nationwide, but there's a shit ton of West Coast artists that also have not been heard because they only get heard on the West Coast. So I think that's going to be the legacy that comes from this album.